Hi, it's Heather. I am back with another process video. I have already taken a piece of white cardstock and added gesso, and then I backed it with another piece of cardstock that I don't plan on using. I am working with Pretty Little Studios Winter Joy. If you watched my last process video, I used that collection as well, and trying to use up some of the smaller parts. That heart that you saw, several hearts, I used a die set from Cat Scrappiness. They're set of nested hearts which have stitching around them. So I cut several hearts out of the pattern papers and some vellum, and the blue star hearts that you see, I actually cut that out of the card that comes in the packaging. They always have really cute patterns on them, and they're a little bit thicker than cardstock, but they cut just as easy, and it matches the collection, and so nothing goes to waste. I wanted to bring in some more of that bluish purple color, and I didn't have any pattern papers that really had that as the predominant color, so when I saw the packaging, I thought it was perfect. I used a couple of their transparencies, really one of them, it has these little reindeers on them, to cut some hearts. And the two smaller ones that you see on the right-hand side, I backed with vellum and stitched them closed with some sequins and little stars and snowflakes that also came in the embellishment pack. And my thought was that I would just layer these across the page. And you can see the photo that I have to the left. I also cut that out of the largest heart in the die set. So I am just trying to scatter the color of each heart, and obviously I wanted the shaker pocket hearts to stand out. I have those popped up on some foam, and originally I actually just cut some random pieces and glued it to the back, but that I realized that you could see the shape through the shaker pocket. So I cut the foam that it's backed with, also with the heart dies that are a little bit smaller, so you can see that shape behind it, because I didn't want the foam to come through and it to look like an odd size. So this looks much better. I am stapling some of the smaller hearts that I cut out of vellum to some of the larger ones, because anyone who's used vellum on their layouts know that it's kind of tricky attaching those with some sort of adhesive. So I am using some of my shimmers to apply to the background, and it took me quite a bit of time to determine the best color. And the one that I'm using now is called Blue Jeans. It's from Shimmers, and it's a little dark, but if you see that little tag to the right, that's from a cut apart sheet from Pretty Little Studios Winter Joy collection. And I don't actually end up using it, but I used it just to color match the paints that I use. The lighter blue that I just sprayed on there is a Shimmers, and that is it's either Snow Amen or Cold as Ice. I don't recall which one. I apologize, but if you really are interested in which shade that is, please let me know, and I will definitely get back to you. So I just wanted to create some little areas on the background that would peek out from behind the hearts. And what you didn't see, I added some gelatos, and I just rubbed it with my finger. That's the pink that showed up, and the reason why I cut it out is because I spent a lot of time just trying to add a little bit here and there. And even though we all love watching process videos, there are some things I know which are not the most exciting. So I did quite a bit of bringing the hearts back and adding a little bit more color and bringing the hearts back and so on. So I didn't want to add too much to the background. I still wanted to have quite a bit of white space. And sometimes I tend to go a little overboard because I don't think I'm the only one, but it is a lot of fun just adding color. And I tend to add a little bit too much. Not that I'm ever not pleased with the end result, but I didn't want to do that for this layout. So some of it was just I added some color and then placed the hearts back over it just to see how much was peeking out. And because the pinks and even the blues in this collection, there were a lot of different shades. Like a lot of the pattern papers go from light to dark. And so that's what I was trying to achieve with the different shades of blue and pink. So I pretty much have all of that mixed media down. I'm pretty sure that I go back and add some more splatters and a little bit here and there, but I ended up, to make it easier, I actually attached all the hearts together so it was easier to move back and forth because I realized that it was just hard to move them back and forth without disturbing the pattern or the layout that they were in. And I said that I didn't use that tag, but I do end up using it. It's been a few days since I've done this, so I apologize. But I didn't want to add too much of the blue because obviously you can see in the photo that there's a lot of pink in there. And I wanted to add some of the blue because the snowflakes have that blue in it. And I wanted to make sure that there was just a little bit scattered throughout. I am using those little snowflake die cuts to scatter about. And I'm actually pretty proud that I used quite a bit of embellishments on this layout. And I am definitely getting through the kit. I still have probably enough left for a couple of more layouts. But this layout actually left quite a bit of scraps after cutting all those hearts out. But if you're familiar with Pretty Little Studio, their papers only come in 8x8. So you have to come up with creative ways to make it last and come up with layouts that are interesting. And they also have that sheet of sort of washi strips. They only come in, I think they're like 4x8, maybe 3x8. So I'm using one of the blue strips. I think it has trees on it. And I layer some of those on that square. It's actually part of like a Polaroid type frame on a piece of paper that I cut out. So I cut them all apart. And I did that because I have this cut file that you can see there. It is a cut file from the cut shop and it says reindeer are better than people. And that is actually the start of my inspiration for this layout. Is I really wanted to use that cut file, and honestly I don't know that I'll ever come across a picture that I might take that might actually have a reindeer in it, or but I guess it's winter related and it could be Disney related, but for me I decided to use it for a winter related layout. I actually cut that and a few others for pictures that I taken at my daughter's Frozen birthday party and didn't end up using it, but I thought reindeer, snow, winter, I thought it was appropriate. But the problem is that I didn't want to color it because I didn't want to add too much more color to the layout, but the fact that it was white and I layered it on that piece of paper, the frame type cutout, the words weren't really showing up on it well. So I thought by adding the washi tape strips behind it that it would show up well, and it doesn't. And you'll see what I do later to remedy that. But right now I am just adding some little stickers from the sticker sheet, just some little pops of black. You can see them on the left hand side. They are clear stickers. And I think I just used some stars and snowflakes to scatter about. And I'm just trying to I guess evenly balance the colors and the elements across the page. I didn't want, obviously there's a lot of white space, but I really wanted the main focus to be that strip of hearts and embellishments across the center of the page. I do add that embellishment cluster up to the right, and there are a couple other elements that I still add in, but Part of the other inspiration for this page was that clip, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I got that from. I just can't recall where it came from, but I wanted to use it, and I thought, what better layout than the layout with the cutout that says reindeer are better than people. And then when I saw the transparency from Pretty Little Studio that have the little Rudolph reindeers on it, I just thought it all worked together really well. So again, I'm just rearranging some of the embellishments. I'm starting to stick some of those snowflakes down. And I think at this point, my hearts are all attached. I still go back and forth with some of those embellishments. I move that clip around, the reindeer clip around quite a bit because I couldn't decide where the best location was it for. And because they're all hearts, all the main elements on this page are hearts, it doesn't really fit like it would if you just put it on a square mat or photo. But I end up leaving it where it is now because I think that was the most appropriate spot. So now I am trying to figure out how to make that cut, the words on that cut file stand out. So I backed it with vellum, and it does help, but not really. So I end up taking a gelato, or not a gelato. Oh, I am edging the cut file with a chalk ink from Quick Quotes and hoping that that helps a little bit. But I end up taking that vellum and coloring it and then gluing it back to the cut file, and that really does the trick. It's just a light pink, so it doesn't add a ton of color. The alternative was to color the cut file, and I didn't want to do that. I still wanted it to be white. So there you just saw me using a gelato to color that vellum, and that's what I end up doing. And now I'm just gluing it down. That was just enough color to make those words stand out. And I thought at first that would actually be my title, but I end up adding something else because it just didn't stand out enough to me. And when I can't decide on what to do, I always go to flair. I really been liking adding flair to pretty much every layout, and this one I added a couple. The one on the bottom, it's a sled, that is from Pretty Little Studio, and the one in the upper right is from Cuts to Love. I love it. Some of their flare buttons are they're so adorable and unique. I did add some thread behind the flare, which I usually like to do just to make it stand out a little bit more. And there I go with that clip. I could not decide where it would go. I kind of felt like I don't know if it seemed unbalanced to me at the top right at first, because it just, I don't know, like the right side seemed too tall. Does that make sense? But it really was just the most appropriate location. So I moved that sticker around a few times because I didn't want the clip to interfere. I think I play around with that Winter Joy die cut as well, but I don't know why some of the embellishments gave me such a hard time. I do add one of their little reindeer clear stickers to the heart next to the photo, which I thought was cute. It stood out really nicely. And then I end up committing to the Winter Joy die cut on the right hand side. I do add some sequins, which is what you are seeing me do now. Like it didn't have enough already in those shaker pockets, but I have been on a shaker pocket kick lately. I'm not sure why, but I just, especially with Pretty Little Studio, I love their papers. I love all of their embellishments. But like I said, because the papers are not any larger than 8 by 8, you need to come up with some creative ways of using them, and that you don't get tired of it. So that is why I decided to go with the heart theme. And I got that die set with some Christmas money. So I was really excited to just use it. If you've listened to a previous video, I mentioned a couple of times that when I get a new product, I usually like to spend a bit of time just playing with it and cutting stuff out. And sometimes I just cut things out and I keep them in my stash. But because I knew I was going to do this layout soon and I was going to use the Pretty Little Studio collection, I thought what better way to play with those dies than with these papers. So I am really pleased at how it came out and how it looks. And just for some reason on snow layouts, I think, sparkle. I mean, you can add sparkle to any layout, but I don't know, the way the snow glistens in the sun, I've been using a lot of clear sequins, which I love. So right now you're seeing the still shots, and I am extremely pleased with how this turned out. This is one of my favorite layouts recently. The title ended up with Snow Day, which you can see there. I really hope you liked this process and you found some inspiration in what I've done. Please hit like and subscribe, and I will be back soon with another layout.